always say is, we have an event this weekend and we teach 8 different ways to fund a deal.
But what's been great to see is how many people that you've helped to accomplish their dreams through real estate, through teaching them about flipping and funding and financing, so many different things. And so my question to you,
And then we have some term funding. That's, you got to have your credit right, but you can get this term funding. And if you can accumulate the right income, then you can take that back, in a year or two, once you've proven what this track record is on these properties, and refinance with a commercial loan.
what's up, dream builder? Are you someone who's interested in creating a life by your design through all things real estate? Well, I can assure you, you are in the right place. Join me, your host, Casanova Brooks. I'm an award winning real estate agent and investor as we uncover the top tips, strategies, and the mindset of the top real estate entrepreneurs across the world. Stay locked in because we're about to go on a journey that will change your life. What's up, Dream Nation? We are back again and we're excited today. I know I'm excited today because we got somebody on the line who I would consider a sensei, somebody who's been doing this thing for over 20 years, that's seen the ups, the downs, the sideways, everything. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming my brother, Mr. Ramon Tukes, to the show. Ramon, you want to go ahead and say what's up to Dream Nation?
Hey, what's up, Dream Nation? It's definitely an honor to be here. Thank you, Casanova, for having me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a dope conversation. It's gonna be so much wisdom. I know. Before we just hit that record button, you started to drop some gems. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's make sure that we got this live. So, man, I'm excited because what you've been able to do in real estate has been amazing. And I know you've invested, as you said, in a lot of different ventures. But what's been really great to see, and I told you a little bit about my journey before we came on, but what's been great to see is how many people that you've helped to accomplish their dreams through real estate, through teaching them about flipping and funding and financing, so many different things. And so my question to you, before we kick this thing off and getting into the meat and potatoes, is we all know who the Superman is outside of the scene. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when we go to your social media, when we go to landing pages, we can see all those things, right? We can see the
Hmm.
copy. But a lot of the times we can't see who that Clark Kent is behind the scenes, right? Not unless we get the one on one. So right now we got a one on one exclusive. So I want to know behind the scenes, who is that Clark Kent of Ramon Tukes?
You know what? You know what? I smile about that because I get asked that all the time, and I'm probably almost the same person you see on social media. I'm reserved, um, little boy that grew up right here in the city of Atlanta, man. That kind of similar story, man. If you start talking about your story, at 5, both of my parents went to prison, and we were raised by, for a few years raised by some people that we call our grandparents. They biologically were not related, but they took good care of us for a couple of years. And then, same thing. My mom comes home, a couple of years later, she goes back to prison. And then, we grew up, Atlanta, in town Atlanta was like south side of Chicago, back in the 80s, early
Yep.
80s, it was in town. And of course, most in towns were the rougher parts of most major cities. And so, 13, my father was like, hey, look, we gotta do something different. And so he, basically told my mom, he gotta come over here with me. An amazing man, preached and like inbred us with entrepreneurship. And so at an early age, I saw it. So from a really early age, I saw entrepreneurship that, wasn't the right entrepreneurship, but it was entrepreneurship, right? And, growing up, 13, 14, 15, my siblings were the next level of that same business. But my father understood what we needed. And he was there every single day for me, man, and like really pushing hard. I hated it when I was a kid. Like I hated it. Like, man, I don't like this dude, man. Like, but man, bless his soul, he only thought about the stuff that he had saw in the streets, and he translated something different as much as he could for his kids. And so when I look back, I'm like, man, I never been in trouble. I've just had an amazing life thus far. You take the good with the bad. You take the lessons, you take that comes with it, right? But
Right.
early on, man, just as a kid, not having any fears because I was well protected. We had some great people, like my grandfather. He was an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. My mother was an entrepreneur. Like nobody had jobs. Like so when we got old enough, my dad used to tell us, man, you want a job, you want to go work at McDonald's or the grocery store, then you're gonna pay bills here. But if you want a business, I got you. So lawn care businesses at an early age. We were washing cars, making money at an early age. And when I turned 19, he was like, man, you got to get into real estate. Like you don't have a choice. And so at 19 is when I got bit early. Like that, the first few weeks I was bird dogging, which is um, the grandfather of wholesaling. That's what I'm gonna call it, right? Where we just go out, get an address, knock on some doors. We were working for folks, but we was making $500 to $1,000 a pop. There was no you control the contract. I didn't understand that, right? And so, man, I guess between 5 and 19, my entrepreneur soul was developed. By the time I got 19, man, I was an adult. I had lived a long time, feels like, and just took off in the real estate world. Just a normal, I always say I'm just a normal guy, man, that just was blessed with the right people, the right support system, and being in the right place at the right time, which was being in Atlanta, man, and it's still um, kind of a dream city. I go all over the world. This city is still, it's not real. You know what I mean? When you think about it, because you're not able to duplicate what we have here. You're not able to
Mm,
duplicate it. So I know it gave me a very good sense of hope. It gave me a lot, man. When we see a lot of black folks in power, I just felt like, man, I don't have a choice but to win. My mayor's black, like my family's, it's amazing, and so going from that to being a kid, I still was in school, so I was still a normal kid. I understood I want to make some money. And
right.
so, because that's what I had seen all my life, folks making money, good or bad, right? Folks taking care of other folks, which has been put inside of me. And so, man, that's kind of like my early years. And then after 19, life just took off. Like I don't have, I, I don't know, man. It's like, yeah, you have your ups and downs, but most of mine have been ups.
I love
My
it.
as the old gospel song says, my good days outweigh my bad days, so I won't
Right.
complain. Yeah, they do, man. And so it's like I tell you, every day is the best day of my life. And so, like, who is that Clark Kent? It's really who you see on social media. I really don't change much, man. I really don't. People ask about the flash and the dash. I really don't do it. I love my children. So if you see me with my children, those are like, I always say my little mini business partners, I would say they're broke best friends, like people say, but they're not. They understand investing probably just as good as I do, and they're doing things to invest. So just man, a father, brother, uncle, I'm just a normal guy, man. I love to see people win. So that's the Clark Kent. I guess when it turns into Superman is when I have to speak because that is something that I really still, get nervous about every single time, even at my own events. So that's the Superman. The Clark Kent is the dude that just, man, I want to do community development. I want to make sure. I think we're focused on kids right now, so
Hmm.
it's still that's my everyday job is just to make anybody I come into contact with better. That's where I am.
That's what's up, man. Let me ask you something. For people who are looking to get into real estate now, you talked about wholesaling world. Is that the way that you teach? Because you've seen so many different angles, right? You've seen wholesaling, you've seen flipping, you've taught people flipping, obviously buying and holding. Now the Airbnb has come on. Like, where do you think that someone who's just getting into real estate, where should they be focusing on? Let's say that not that they have no money, because obviously, if you have no money, I don't even think that you really need money when you first get started in real estate. And I would love to hear your opinion on this, but where do you think that most people should get started?
So I don't. I think where my coaching and programming is designed, there's no cookie cutter. I've 3 years ago I used to travel the country and argue with people all over that it's easier to do a fix and flip than it is to do a wholesale deal, and I
Mm.
get in trouble about that.
What's it? What's
And
the?
then
What's the? That's the first I've ever heard that. Why do you think that it's easier to do that? Because most people, I would think the opposite.
well, I tell you what, this is what I tell people right now. You show me a wholesaler that's doing 4 deals a month, right? Like the normal. 90 something percent of the wholesalers are failing. 90%, 90 plus percent. It's easier for because you're casting such a wide net. right? And you hoping to catch some shrimp in there, right? Most of them are going after the whale, and there is no whale today because of how competitive the market is, right? So when I say I would rather do a buy and hold or fix and flip over now, of course, a wholesale deal can be easy if you are you matching a person with a deal and it's not your deal. But when you're building a wholesale business, it's tough, man. It's really really tough. Everybody's cold calling. Postcards are outdated. Everybody has retargeting on their Instagram and Facebook pages. So again, I my argument was you give me a fix and flip, right? I can find 3 or 4 ways to make money with that fix and flip, and I'm in control. With a wholesale deal, if I don't have money and I don't have the right team, if we get to the closing table and I'm dealing with the wrong person and they decide, well, I don't want to close today, or you should cut your fee, or they 4 hours late and your seller is pissed off and they leave, you have very limited control. And so when I say that the fix and flip overall wholesale concept is the best concept because you don't have anything involved. But if you're building a wholesale business, and those that know, it's very expensive. It's very expensive to build a wholesale business, not a hustle. I mean, I know that we're gonna get some leads. We're doing lead generation. We're doing marketing. I got a sales manager. Got a disposition. I got an acquisitions manager. I got a disposition team. That can get very expensive. And again, it's only a few outfits that are doing a very, 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 very good job with that. On that side, with a fix and flip, both of them though, you're only as good as your last deal, which is why I push so hard to buy rental properties, to do buy and hold. I push it really hard. And buy and hold is the sweetest business it is. It
Mm-hmm.
is sweet when you got the right funding, right? So, wholesaling, is it the right way to start? I don't know. It depends. And you'll hear me say that a lot. It depends on the person and your situation and your resources and your time. Some people will say, oh, Ramon, I don't have the time or the money. And I'm always like, "Ooh, if you don't have the money, you got to have the time, right? Or you got to make the time. It's just like you made that decision to, not go to training and use that license. And I'm sure that first month you probably was like, oh my God, what's happening, right?
Right.
But then that pipeline started to get built, and so within 90 days, it's all right. And so again, the strategies depend on you as a person, your resources, and then what you're willing to risk. Fixing and flipping is not for everybody. For sure, it's not for everybody. Wholesaling is not for everybody, and buying holding should be for everybody. But everybody is not able to handle that management side of things, so they go crazy. So I guess it's one of those it depends questions.
No, I get you there, and it's so funny because I've heard that quite a bit. Like, man, I don't have the money, and I don't have the time as well. And you just kind of ask yourself, like, no, you haven't made the decision that this is really what you want, right? That's what it always comes down to is that decision, make the choice. So I'm glad that you said
Yeah,
that. One of the things that you also just said though is like if you can have the right funding. And obviously, whenever anybody is really looking to scale in real estate, there's only so much you can do by yourself. And there's only so much that you can even do with banks, and a lot of real estate is creative funding, creative financing, figuring out how to do
yes.
things on terms. When you first tell somebody that they need to have the right funding, are you speaking about a hard money lender? Are you speaking about private money? What is the right funding?
So I always say we have an event this weekend and we teach 8 different ways to fund a deal, really technically not even including the creative funding. So, you know, of course you always got cash,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you got traditional banks, which, they're kind of tough sometimes, unless you got a really good relationship or something amazing has happened. And you got hard money lending, which is a really, really good resource, especially with the new hybrid hard money lending that you can buy and hold with that doesn't affect your personal credit, which is like the best thing since sliced bread because you can do 200 and nobody really never knows who owns them. It doesn't go on your credit. So it's out there um, in your business name. And so you can rack up, right? And then
Where
so
do you
after
learn
that,
about? Because wait. There's somebody that's listening at this right now, and they're like, "I've never heard of this," and myself included. Talk to me? Where does the hybrid hard money lending come from? Like, what is that concept?
what it is traditional, and it's like in the middle, and why I call it hybrid, right? It allows you to hold these properties, and some of them have 3 year adjustables, 5 years, some have 15 years straight, right? But it allows you to, and it's really not hard money, but that's what they're calling it. Allows you to buy and hold properties in your business name, and the interest rate is a little bit higher, but I always tell people you got to pick your poison. I'm gonna go in the bank. They're gonna say, okay, you got eight of them. We're done talking to you, unless you do some kind of portfolio loan, which you got to do commercial. The hybrid hard money does not care as long as it fits their certain criteria. Now, the biggest challenge is, and I'm gonna tell you how we're solving this challenge, is like the amazing properties in the South or the Midwest, the duplexes that are in Chicago. Well, Chicago's changing a lot now, but Milwaukee, Cleveland, Detroit that are worth only 50 to 65,000, but you can get $1,300 a month, $1,400 a month in rent total, and which means you got a 15% to 18% ROI, right? The banks don't touch them. Nobody wants to fund things under. They don't want to make loans under 50, and they really struggle with making loans under 75. And so what we've done is, so after the hybrid hard money loans, because they won't touch them, we have done a lot with business lines of credit. We're funding deals on credit cards, personal and business credit cards. And then we have some term funding that's, you got to have your credit right, but you can get this term funding. And if you can accumulate the right income, then you can take that back, in a year or two, once you've proven what this track record is on these properties, and refinance with a commercial loan. So you just got to be, before we even get into creative financing, Casanova, people have to understand how important it is to keep your credit right, because listen, I have one of our partners, Dana Christian, who has in 3 years, man, bought with credit cards over $2 million worth of properties in the Midwest almost,
Wow.
that are cash flow credit cards. And so, with business credit cards, it doesn't show up on your personal credit
Right.
unless you decide not to pay, right? And so if you can just keep hitting that recycle button, adding on to your business credit cards and lines of credit, right? Then you keep buying property. So it's so many ways to fund deals. Raising capital, private money. People hear numbers like percentages and it's like, oh man, hard money is too expensive. I think when I first started, hard money was 10 points and 18 to 22% interest, right? We didn't know any better.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Now
Take
that's
take
like
this.
somebody would shoot you for that. That's how
Yeah, they'll shoot you for that, man. Like, but here's the good part of that though. Imagine I got a deal that I can buy and you're charging me, 10 points and 20% interest, right, for a year. That's 30%. And I sell it and make, I don't know, 20 grand. And I'm just gonna throw out 20 grand. Well, if I netted 20 grand after you got your 10 points and 20% interest prorated over, if it took me 6 months or 8 months, I made 20 grand, right? If I call, my cousin John and say, hey, John, I need you to give me 200 grand, right? He's going to say 200 grand, first of all, and I want 50% or 80% of your profit. So then I'm going to give him that and only make 4 grand. So, you have to really look at gauge the cost of the opportunity for the cost of the money, because we get that pushback on credit cards and I'm like, okay, you got great credit but you're not making no money, so what's the point of having great credit if you're not making no money with it?
right.
So those are ways we teach people how to fund deals. So that is my number one thing. Well, number two, I'm gonna say financial capital is number two. It's the second most important thing. Second.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the first most important thing then. Is that to finding the deals? Because you got to find them before you can get them funded. Or is it just all
No, that's
mindset?
easy. That's easy. That's easy. The finding deals is easy.
Let's talk about
It's
let's
it's
before
real.
we get into let's build it up because somebody wants to know what number one is. But let's talk about the finding the deals then, because that's the easy part. But I've always known that again, it doesn't matter, the finance, any of that. If you don't have a deal, you have nothing. In today's
Yeah.
market, obviously it's a seller's market. There's so many different softwares out there. People don't know what to invest in, what's a free trial.
Yeah.
Like how do you find the deals? What's the most tried and true way, first off?
So that is the challenge right now. Even with traditional real estate agents and brokers and traditional homeowners, they're fighting like we've never seen this before,
Right.
right? And somebody's hoping for a crash. And I keep telling folks, you don't want a crash because it's not going to be what we saw in '07 and '08 because the people that were backing the funding at that time are now buying the deals. So they're not going to, the Blackstones and they're not going to let us see those deals when they go to foreclosure. If
Right.
it goes to the steps, we have no shot at that. They have unlimited money. So, I hope people stop like praying for some kind of crash because when it happens, guess what? They're ready to buy. They understand they just want to buy more. They're just going to buy more real estate. They're not going to let us buy. So they're going to have more ownership, which means there'll be more rental properties in your neighborhoods. So I guess in finding deals, I find deals a few ways. We have our own lead generation systems with cold calling, buying leads. We partner with a lot of folks that do driving for dollars. We partner with money. When people say, man, you know what, I don't have earnest money, we'll help you put up earnest money. I don't care where you are in the country. We know how to protect ourselves in contracts. So if you need that 1,000 or 2,000 or $5,000 in earnest money, our team will put it up. And so we get a lot of our deals through what I'm gonna say is the number one way to is the most important thing in this business, right? And I know we say number two would be finance with the financial piece of it, but I'll tell you what the number one way is, which is probably the number one way I get deals too, which is relationship capital. Relationship capital, and you can never people don't understand it. Like they don't understand you should be serving folks first, building relationships. How do we get certain kind of deals? I get deals because I got great relationships. Like it's no even my marketing stuff doesn't touch my relationships.
Hmm.
Don't touch it. And the deals that I give to my students and our partners, there was this thing on the internet probably about 6 months ago where I gave one of my partners in Cleveland like this super good deal and people were calling me like, man, why did he get that deal? And I'm like, because we partners.
Right.
He's supposed to get that deal. I'm not supposed to get every single deal. I wanted him to have the deal. He looked at it. He said, "Hey man, it's a great deal. I would keep it if I was you." And I said, "Hey, do you want it?" He's like, "Yeah."
What was
Like
the deal? Was it a
uh,
flip? Was it a wholesale? Or what was the end
it was
result
whatever he
here?
wanted it to be. It had so much equity in it
Mm.
out in Cleveland. He just decided, man, he was like, he's gonna keep it. But when I say it was a great deal, it was a great deal. And again, if you're a part of what we're doing, I want you guys to win first. If you're a part of my network, you're going to win. We're going to win together. If it means we got to buy it together and sell it together, if it means we got to buy it and rent it together, we're going to win. That's why we do what we do. That's why we work so hard, man, so that we can take care of the folks around. We should be taking care of the folks around us, and it doesn't always go perfect, but you know that if you stick around, we're gonna make it right or fix it, or we're gonna have some deals. So my number one way and the number one and most important thing, other than yourself, is the relationship that you'll build, and they can last forever.
Right. No, I 100% agree. It's funny because I just listed one of the properties that we have, and I bought this property for $8,000. I put 31 into it,
Wow.
and originally I was gonna flip it, but there wasn't a lot of home sales in that neighborhood, so we were having a hard time getting it to appraise out. But long story short, I bought it for 8, put 31 into it, and how much you think we got for it?
Probably 120. I hope you got one. I hope you got 300 for it.
Nah,
But
we not
you
not
know,
like that. Not here. It's not like that in these markets. But I got 100 for it. So I was
that's a
happy with
blessing,
that.
man.
Yeah, I
That's
mean it
beautiful.
was because that was the biggest thing. This is gonna really reset that market. And this one sells. Obviously, we got a long way to go now that you could go find more. And I always tell people like a lot of the times people think that they don't want to go to what they call as the hood, but there's always gold in the hood because there's always room for innovation and remodeling. People want homes with character that can be remodeled. Everybody doesn't want
Yep.
the new, right? And so there's so much opportunity there, but a lot of people don't see it. A lot of people don't
Well,
see it,
well, they see it when it's too late.
right? The
They
masses.
see it when somebody they want to say somebody took something, especially in our community, which is why I have those arguments too about gentrification. You know, like we go in cities, man, we're like, y'all, let's buy now, let's buy now. Like we're doing a lot in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm telling folks, like, y'all, come on with us, right? And we started in Montgomery um, last
Hmm.
June, and we bought, me and the kids bought a 5 unit building that we end up owner financing to one of our partners, right? He wanted a multifamily, so we owner financed it for 30 years to him. And then we end up getting a 22 unit, which we're doing we're still raising money, but we're doing group economics on, because I want to control all the big parcels, including the commercial, and then we can really control the single families, right? And so one of the premises behind us controlling and doing group economics, because if it was 50 folks that own this 22 unit building, that means when a house comes up, one of y'all should buy it. That means we control the product, the way it looks, the quality, right? The values. We're doing all of that in a it's a smaller city, but it's the capital of Alabama, which is Alabama,
Right.
right? And so, the challenge that we're having is, man, folks driving like, oh, that's a rough neighborhood. And I tell them every Wednesday, I go live at 10 a.m. I show them this building. The owners financed it to us for 15 years, right at 8%. I think at 8%, right? And so it's a little bit of a challenge raising the capital, but we're doing it. All while we're renovating, all while we're managing it, all while we're doing a bunch of stuff. But the best thing I can tell you that came out of this is, man, the relationships and the deals that we're getting, but that it's changing fast. So all the stuff that was for sale, we closed the 22 unit building August 14th of last year. There was a quad next door to us that I was going to buy, but I didn't want to allocate any more funds to it. And there was one across like a shopping plaza, right? They're gone. There was some vacancies around us. They're gone. So now the people that I was saying, hey, y'all, buy, right?
They missed out.
Now they don't have anything to buy, because they waited too long.
Right.
In 10 years, they'll say somebody took it from us, but no, we gave it away. We decided that we wanted something that seemed a little bit better. Everybody wants to buy in Atlanta, right? Our market is crazy. Our market and people, it's just as good as New York and California, like it is, and we got some neighborhoods that are just as high. And so you don't really want to compete in this market unless you want small returns. I like big
Right.
returns, which is why I like Midwest, which is why I like, Montgomery, Alabama, or Birmingham, Alabama. I love Atlanta. I'm gonna always buy here. We're always gonna be doing deals, but you know that's the piece of it, man. As we continue to grow, we got to identify things and be patient to know that we can control neighborhoods. If you got a neighborhood, we may make 10% return. You may take that $40,000 deal you got, and man, you hit a home run. Like I would love to spend 50,000 and sell something for eighty
Right.
thousand. Like that would be like an honor. Like it would be great. But we don't want to buy it. Like we should have bought 20 of those at 8 if they were there. And you have a problem getting folks to buy those while they're at 8. Now when they get to be 100, they're gonna always say, man, I wish, man, I remember it was 8. You remember I could have bought that house for 10? I should have bought it. Now they done took the neighborhood. No, you just decided to buy 20 pair of Jordans this year at $400 a pop because you're not able to get them out of Foot Locker, and so there go your 8,000. But you look good.
But you
You look
look
good.
good.
So
Right? Not
yep.
building and not understanding how to build wealth. Like that's it's so key, so critical. But I think that, nowadays, just like you said, and I want to go back to one piece, but really just like you said, it's all about the first you got to have the mindset, right? And if you don't understand it, because the information's out there, but you don't make the choice to make something different for you, it doesn't matter. Right. That's what because you can listen to blogs, you can listen to podcasts like these, you all of the information's out there. You might have to piecemeal it together, but we talked about this. If you don't have no money right now, you got time. And a lot of people right now, they got time and money. Right? Like that's the reality. Because unless you're running, like you said, multi businesses, you're setting up systems,
Hmm.
everything else, you got some time on your hands. If you're not watching no Netflix, if you ain't listening to no music, if you turn your car into a university every time you hop into your car, even if you got a bike, every time you got to ride that bike for 1 mile, you get up every 1 hour a day earlier. You can make a decision for your life. Even over the summer, if you
Hmm.
put that into your habits, let's say you like, oh man, it's too cold where I'm at right now. Like, ain't nobody riding no bike. Okay, well, from the end of May until end of September, right there, if you put that into place for 5 months, you can change your habits.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
it's it's
15
crazy.
minutes, 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, man, while you're in the bathroom. Or just get up 15 minutes early and put something in your head before you leave out. I've been listening to Bob Proctor has a thing that I just play every morning. And so I listen to that, and it's really a 30-minute video with affirmations that I plug into my head very first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And then hopefully during the day I hit reset sometimes, because we go through, and it's so much negative automatic, like automatically we're negative, because there's so much stuff that we have to. If you turn on the radio, if you turn on the TV, if you scroll, somebody got killed, somebody, it's always automatically that. So you have to hit reset. So I like to start my morning off with something very, very positive that's telling me, hey man, you're great, hey man, you're gonna make it, hey man, we got income, hey man. And if you tell yourself that, eventually it's gonna happen. And so yeah, I totally agree with you though. So
Yeah. I want to touch back on one thing that you said. You was like, relationship capital. And for somebody, I always love to make sure that they got all of the pieces as much as we can in the little time that we have. And so when you say relationship capital, especially the fact that you're in Atlanta and you're going into markets like in Alabama or anywhere else around the country, who are the key players that you're looking to build relationships with, like for you to start being able to get deals? Is it as simple as just I need a broker or a real estate agent, or does it go a little bit deeper than that and you're strategic with these certain types of people because you know that those are the people that can bring you the deals in the fastest amount of time?
So you know what? When we go into markets again, man, I talked about it from a kid. God has placed like some amazing people in my life, and every time we move, it's always like somebody. Like it's like boom, where did they come from? Like thank you, man. That made it so much easier. So I think our relationships. You're always one phone call away from that person that you need. So like when we went into the Cleveland market, we went there because Beyond Win is there, right? And he's a great, amazing man that I know. Hey, I don't mind splitting money with him because he gonna make sure I'm okay.
Right.
Same thing for the Detroit market. Same thing. So I guess when I first started, I look for that person, a person that's really in the business. Then we can start adding agents, because being honest, most agents don't understand what we do. Most don't. And so then we start adding agents and lenders and bird dogs, and then we'll build something. I'll host an event or dinner or something, and just see who's who. Like, how can we work together? I start calling folks like, hey, look, I see you on social media, you're doing deals. Hey, how can we do deals together? What can we do to help you grow? And if it means I can put a message out and say, hey, look, we come to Cleveland, we need some deals, or we're coming to Birmingham, we need some deals. And if you show up with us, this is your city, so let's figure out a way how you benefit from what we just brought in. So I guess the key people are, man, just really having somebody that's in the business, and then we'll start adding. We'll start adding insurance agents. We'll start adding real estate agents. We'll start adding restaurant owners. So you start with that one key person who knows, just like who really understands the market. Because if not, then street by street in most cities, it can be 250 over here and 75 on the next block. So
Right.
I have to make sure I have somebody that understands that part of it.
No, man, that's super solid. I'm glad that you shared that, right? It's essential that they know the business and also they got boots in the ground, because a lot of the times we want to get outside of our market. And that's why I asked that, because some people are in markets right now where they feel like, there's more opportunity in a Cleveland, in a Birmingham, in a Tennessee, wherever it might be, but they don't really know who are the people that they should be reaching out to. And instantly I think the easy decision is to go to a real estate agent. But just like you said, it's a lot of real estate agents don't understand investing. A lot of real estate agents don't even invest themselves, right? To understand how to work with investors and creative financing and things like, because they never been taught that, right? So it's not a knock, because I know a lot
Correct.
of real estate agents watch and listen at this. And that's why I bring on people who talk about wealth building and understanding mindset. So this is how you can stand out in your market as well. When you understand that there's other key pieces and there's other key players in other markets, that everything doesn't have to be competition, and a lot of times it can be collaboration. And that's how you scale up even faster than you ever thought you would. So,
We did a in 2018 we did a tour. We did 27 cities in 24
mhm,
weeks. And it was called a collaboration tour, where we would go into a city and we would take the resources in that city and do a 3 hour event. So we have a panel on real estate, a panel on funding, a panel on like insurance, and just to show people that, hey, we're in your city. Here are the people in yours that are in your city. Reach out to them, be a part of it. Here's the biggest challenge when people talk about doing business: people don't want to share. They want the whole pie with that don't taste like nothing instead of the little pie, that little crust over there that tastes got some whipped cream or something on it, right? And so when they talk about they want to go into another city, yes, you have to, vet out folks, but just know you got to give up. You got to give up something. I always feel like, man, you know what? If I'm making a couple $1,000s per deal, right, and I don't see it, I don't feel it, I don't have to do anything but post it, then give me 20 of those a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to me saying I'm gonna go flip something, I got to deal with X, Y, Z. I like to share. I like my people to make money, and because guess what? They're gonna always do business with us. They're gonna always protect us. They're gonna always come back. Unless everybody, you always have that one person that's, want to be greedy, but you deal with that. And so when people talk about going to other markets, just know you need to understand about sharing. Like I know, Casanova, you're young, so Care Bears used to say, "Caring, sharing is
Yeah.
caring." Right? That's when you really, really understand about that market. It's something as simple as that. Because when you don't want to share and you go into another market like I'm the man, they're gonna eat you alive. The contractor's gonna eat you alive. The local investors, it's just not gonna come out as pretty as you want it to come out. So just share, just split it up.
So much wisdom. Sharing is caring. If you don't take away nothing else, right? Call up one of your partners, call up somebody and be like, you know what? I wanted to call you today because sharing is caring. And and I think we could do some business today. Watch. I mean,
That's
but think
right.
about it like that. If you call somebody and you say that just in that line, they're gonna be like, yeah, I think we could do some business too. What you got in mind? Already you just opened up the
Yep.
conversation. Right. They're like,
Yep.
that's what's so crazy. And if you can, hey, I've been looking at some properties. I've been talking to some people. I think I got a deal. Would you give me your opinion on this deal? People love to give their opinion on everything. Get on social media, see all the people that want to give their opinion on something, right? So everybody got an
Yeah.
opinion, but that's the way you can bring value. For you, let me ask, for
Correct.
you, being so wise, seeing what you saw over the years, I always know that people say that if they could change anything, or a lot of the times they wouldn't change anything because it got to them to where they are today. But I always like to ask the
Yeah.
question, if there was one thing that you wish that you would have implemented sooner to accelerate your path on your journey to where you are today, what would that one thing be?
Delegation.
Mm, that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Why,
Delegation.
why do you think you struggled
So,
with it for so long?
um, we were raised not to trust. We grew up in a different world, so you don't trust nobody. Like we always looking at sideways and under stuff, and so learning how to, well, I guess learning how to trust is probably the most important thing, and delegation is just a part of trust. And so even in my personal relationships, understanding trust, um, probably it hurt me a lot growing up. I mean, I just didn't trust nobody. And still now I struggle with it, but I'm getting better because I've been sent some more amazing people. And as you get older, you look back and say, "Dang, man, I really didn't have to set that venue up, right?" Because I got a team of 20 people sitting over there, sitting on the sofa, and they're like, "We could have set the venue up. You could have went somewhere else and took a nap, right?" And so I started to do that. But delegation in a true system, man, you won't be able to slow it down, right? But I was a bottleneck and still have my days. Like we were working on the event for this weekend yesterday, and we're going through checklists, and they're looking at me like, "Man, would you be quiet, man? Would you?" Because their goal is all I have to do is show
Mm-hmm.
up. Because if I can focus on other income generating activities, relationships, instead of worrying about what pop up banner, what color is it, what we're getting for lunch, then we can grow even more, right? And so I think that one thing I would change is opening up, trusting more, so that I would delegate.
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. And I hope somebody listening at this right now, maybe they could, the first thing is you got to be self-aware, right? And when you are aware, then you say, okay, I know that there's a little bit of, you don't even want to call it a problem, but there's an issue here. There's a small issue. And if I could fix it on my end, right? Nobody else has to know this, but here's the things, that 15 minutes a day, what can I put into my mind? What can I feed my brain to get over that little bit of an issue, right? And then that's how we move forward past it. And before you know it, 6 months from now, if people are asking you how you did it, but it was because you put those 15 minutes in a day. So much wisdom, my
Yeah.
brother. The last question, that I guess there's two last questions that I have. One, I always love to ask this question because I'm always interested when I see pioneers and just anybody. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would that one person be? And more importantly, if you only got to ask them one question, what question would it be?
Ooh, ooh, that's a good one. It's so many amazing people, man. Like, can I put a few people at the table?
I know we're not gonna do the Mount Rushmore today. We want just that one. Like Ramon inspires us, but I want to know who inspires Ramon because I want to know who's that person that gets to see and what's that one question that I gotta know.
Man, you know what? Wow. Um, if I had to like really, really pick one, um, probably would be Herman J. Russell.
Mm. And what would you ask him?
Yeah, probably Herman J. Russell. So, you know who Herman J.
I
Russell
don't.
is?
That's why I was hoping I was gonna get the context out of it. This is the first time I ever heard of him.
So, oh my God. I want you to Google him
Yeah,
when we finish. I'm gonna tell you
absolutely.
now. He he they built Atlanta. He has a book called Building Atlanta. But not only did he build Atlanta, he was the financier behind the civil rights movement. He built stadiums, domes, airports. He controlled concessions all across the country, but was a man that was born and raised in Atlanta, um, that started to build and built a massive empire. Like I mean, their families, they're worth billions. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people don't understand they're one of the wealthiest black families it is. But he was such a normal guy, and I've seen him and met him, but never had a chance to just, I probably would ask him what kept you
Mm.
going. And if, when you read about him, when you see who it is, you're gonna send me a message and say, "Man, we supposed to learn about him because listen, when they went to jail in the civil rights movement, he put the deeds up to get them out. He paid the cash to get them out. When you see the picture of like, and you've seen the picture
I'm
of
sure
him,
I have.
it's a picture where Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King is sitting either in the pool, it's like an indoor pool. If you've seen this picture, he's in his indoor pool. That's at Herman's house, Mr. Russell's house in Atlanta in the '60s. He had an indoor
Mm.
pool. He had a 7,000 square foot house with basketball court and pools. But he built everything, man. When you start naming stuff all across the country, man, like the stadiums here, um, just I mean the airport concession, it's an amazing man. So I would just wonder how in the time like the '50s and '60s, how what kept you going, what kept made you accumulate such massive, and when I say massive, bro, it's unheard of. We hear about Don Peoples and we hear about them folks, but and people in that world know how he opened the door for so many of them, and so he would probably be the one person because I can name a bunch of people.
Right.
Like I would like to talk to Martin Luther King and Michael Jackson, and but I think Mr. Russell, based upon when you read his book and understand that story and how he helped create so many amazing business folks. When you read it, you're gonna say, "Man, this person came from over there. Wow, this person came from over there. Wow!" Like
I love it. You know,
it's an amazing
I
man.
can't wait. I'm definitely building Atlanta. Herman J. Russell. I got it written down. You know who else that brought to my mind was what do they call him? The Clarence Avant. You know, Clarence. They got
Yeah,
the Netflix after him. He's like the Godfather,
the Godfather.
right?
Yeah,
Was it the
yeah.
Harlem Godfather? No, it's not the Harlem Godfather. Is it the Harlem Godfather?
He's just the Godfather. Like, yeah, he. I mean, I don't. So I haven't
Oh,
watched it.
it's
I've seen
phenomenal.
clips and stuff, but how he connected folks. But wait till you read about Mr.
Yeah.
Russell.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm
Watch what
definitely
you're gonna
gonna.
find out.
Man, I read a
Yeah.
lot of books too. Everybody listening, watching, they know I'm a big. We talk about a lot of books on here. So, man, again, this is. I want to be the first one if no one else has told you, my brother, to say thank you and I appreciate you. First one today. If no one else has told you, this has been phenomenal. You dropped so much wisdom. So many people I know are inspired and they got a lot of wisdom, a lot of nuggets of how they could start building one relationship capital, but two funnel that into financial capital, right? And that's how they can change their life. Real estate is not going anywhere. There's
Yes.
always going to be more opportunity. There's always a market for somebody. You just got to know how to navigate it, right? And if you do that through relationships, there'll always be a deal for you. So I appreciate you sharing. For anybody, we're gonna make sure that we put all of the links in the show notes. But for anybody who wants to stay connected with you, where can they find you at?
I'm on social media, all social medias as Ramon Took. So LinkedIn, I don't tweet, but I'm on there somewhere. But Instagram and Facebook, it's Ramon
Got it.
Tooks.
Cool. Well, we'll be sure to reach out. And yeah, the last question I have is for anybody who is thinking that they're inspired by your journey. They love everything that you've done, but they have that little voice in their head, and we've all had it. And that little voice says that they're not strong enough. they're not smart enough, or maybe they just don't have enough resources. What's the one thing that you would leave that person with to get them to just take action?
So the one thing is either Les Brown talks about it, the wealthiest place in the world is the
Mm.
graveyard cemetery. So either you're gonna take action or take it to your grave. You gotta take your pick. It's that easy. Either I'm gonna take action, y'all, and we all make errors. We all run into walls. We all have to sit some days and cry. We all, we all go through it. Everybody that's ever made it anywhere has had some challenges. So either you got two choices. You're gonna take action or take it to your grave. You gotta pick. You wanna die with it?
Gotta pick. No,
Yeah,
it's
you
as
do
simple as
you I mean
that.
I
Make
asked
a
what was that.
choice. When you get up in the morning,
Make the
it
choice.
might pressure bust pipes, but it also creates beautiful diamonds, right?
Yep.
Man, I love it. Just as he said, Dream Nation, you got to take action. Because if you don't, as you know, that dream that you have will only merely be a fantasy. That's all for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. Hey guys, thank you for sticking with me and watching this video. Now, if you've gotten any value out of this video, I want you to do me a favor. I need you to make sure that you hit that subscribe button and also turn on those bell notifications. What that's gonna do is it's gonna tell you whenever I drop more heat just like this video. And make sure that you hit that like button because that's gonna let the YouTube gods know that more people need to be seeing this video. I appreciate you watching, and as a token of my appreciation, I dropped a couple more videos for you to take a look at in the meantime until I drop more heat. Remember, in the dream we trust, but you gotta take action. Otherwise, that dream that you have will only merely be a fantasy. I'll catch you on the next one.